Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk to you guys about co-op play. Now I'm going to run some co-op plays while I'm talking to you guys so you guys can see just what I'm talking about, but my basic beef with co-op is that it takes too damn long. And I want to outline for you what I think is really good about co-op, and then what I obviously think is bad about co-op, which is the time sink. And then I want to give you guys some ideas I have for how to fix co-op or how to make it better, and just overall a more accessible game mode for new, but especially for veteran players, because the problem with co-op that I have compounds itself the longer you play this game. And that's not really a game mode that you want to have as a feature of your game, where it gets more and more tedious the more you play and the more you invest in the game. Basically, co-op takes too long to play through with your entire roster. The characters that are eligible for co-op are 4-star and up characters, so it's really not that difficult to meet the requirements once you've unlocked a character. Especially with Shadowland bioselectors coming weekly, I doubt that many people have any characters languishing at 1 or 2 or even 3 stars before they get them ranked up. As well, they just increased the number of bios that you can get from story missions, so it's even less likely that people will have characters sitting at 1 or 2 stars unable to play co-op. So what's happening is that there are more and more characters in the game. I believe we have about 103 or 104 now. And then all of those characters, or most of them, are eligible for co-op. Now, co-op is mostly like World Boss Invasion, where you play with other people against an AI opponent, but it's the dumbed down version of World Boss Invasion. There is no co-op button, there are no restrictions, there are no requirements, and because of that, I feel like the rewards are a lot worse. But in some instances, once you build up the bar to 100%, your rewards are better for that one time. And so that bar system that they have really incentivizes you to build up your roster, because you get multiple turns to play and you get multiple runs, and then you can max out that bar again and again and again to get better rewards. As well, I know that you get better rewards with your VIP level, but as long as you're at least VIP 1, then these changes will matter to you in some way, or at least they'll be interesting to you, because you're probably spending a lot of time playing co-op to get all the rewards, and it's eating up a lot of your time. So that's basically my biggest grief, and my only grief with co-op is that it takes way too long. Now, I know you can just play it on auto and burn clear tickets. For a lot of people, that's just not an option with how scarce clear tickets are right now, but I don't want to lose that feature, because I feel like it's the kind of the penalty you pay. You want to sacrifice your time? Go ahead. You don't want to sacrifice your time, then you have to sacrifice clear tickets. There's always kind of a risk-reward analysis that you have to play out in your head. And I like that about co-op. But what I don't like is that with over 100 characters, even if you auto-play it, it's going to kill like almost an hour of your time, if not more, especially when it gets hung up, or it lags, or it disconnects you and then it doesn't reconnect you. So there's a lot of little bumps, and you kind of need to semi-monitor it while you're playing. You can't just hit auto-start and then leave. And then as well, if you run out of clear tickets, well, you're kind of shit out of luck then. So I think that co-op definitely needs to change moving forward, because this problem is only going to exacerbate itself as the game adds more characters. And the game can never stop adding characters, because that's the lifeblood of the game. If you don't add new characters, people get bored of what the current characters are and they stop playing, or they move on to other games where those characters do exist. Or where other fresher characters exist. Even if they're new characters from new comic series, it doesn't matter. And so we need to add more characters, and so by adding more characters, it just makes co-op more and more tedious as time goes on. So I've come up with a couple ideas. I've come up with a few changes to co-op that I think could work, but I'm also curious to know what you guys think about the changes, or what changes you guys think should be made. So let me know, as always, in the comments. So my first change would be to limit the number of heroes that you can play in co-op. Now, I know that's a really big no-no for a lot of people. They like being able to play with their whole roster in a game mode. They like the fact that there's technically no cost if you play manually. Look, as I'm making this video, this shit gets hung up doing fuck knows what, waiting for other heroes. I don't even know. Baron Mordo's sash is just too fucking long and thick for people to handle. It's just, gunning down their Ethernet cord. But yeah, I know that people like to play with their whole roster, so I know that limiting the roster sounds like a bad move, but here's my pitch for it. Basically, instead of having a rotating list of characters available, like with the recommended heroes for Villain Siege or something, just let players pick any 10 characters per day. So every day you get, all of your characters will appear, but once you've selected 10, you have basically 10 runs. And once you've played those 10 runs with whatever 10 characters you want, you run out of co-op plays for the day. And you can keep the cost the same. You can make it either free cost if you're playing manually, or you can make it a clear ticket cost if you're playing on automatic. And because you only have 10 tries, you can up the clear ticket cost from, let's say, 1 to, let's say, 5 or whatever, 6. And that more evenly approximates how many clear tickets you spend right now, which is about 100 a day if I run all of my characters, because I have them all, through co-op. But as well, because you're changing the number of runs that you can do from as many as there are available characters to 10, then you'd have to increase the rewards, and that could get a little bit dicey. But I think that with the increased rewards from co-op invasion, it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to have them maybe nerf the rewards, or maybe nerf them but add some other rewards that could drop as a possibility, because right now the loot tables for the co-op rewards are not very good. They don't include black antimatter, they don't include chaos nordstones and stuff like that, or even like Uru, for example. So if they introduced some of those rare or more valuable item drops, even if they weren't that common, but if they introduced them to the loot table, it could justify them lowering the rewards by lowering the number of plays of co-op you could do per day. And by lowering the number of plays of co-op per day, obviously that would just completely solve the problem of co-op being a humongous time sink. But people don't like that idea sometimes. I've seen a lot of people react negatively to it because they like being able to play with 30 or 40 different characters. So I have a couple of other ideas. My second idea is a little bit more radical, but it's basically something along the lines of, I think it's called Dead by Daylight, or Daylight's Dead. I don't know what it's called. But basically this game that I don't fucking know, but I know the premise of, one player zones in or logs into the game, whatever, starts the game as the enemy, as the killer. And the other enemies or the other people in the game log in or sign in or whatever, join in as the victims or the people trying to escape. Basically the same goes here. One person would join as the boss of the match, and then the other 3 people would be trying to kill them. And then, you'd have, whatever, 5 minutes, or maybe they can lower it to 2 minutes. And then if you kill them in time, then you get the rewards. If they kill you, then, I don't know, you don't get the rewards, they get the rewards. That kind of stuff could be hashed out later. It's not really so important. But what I wanted to do is, thank you for the Dimension Rift, I wanted to keep the co-op aspect of it, but I also wanted to increase the difficulty and kind of bring something a little bit more interesting to it. Because I feel like if they just increase the health of the boss and the damage of the boss, then it's just like World Boss Invasion. It's no different. And co-op is already similar enough to World Boss Invasion that it doesn't need any more of that, or else the game mode is just going to lose its uniqueness. So I thought they could make it even more unique by introducing a player as kind of the enemy. And this kind of mirrors, or this kind of reflects what they do right now in Shadowlands King of the Hill. They could also take more from Shadowlands King of the Hill and Alliance tournaments by having players who want to play as the enemy to set up like a bunch of defense characters. So what you could do, let's say you have 10 runs per day. We're going to piggyback off my first idea. What you could do is, instead of playing your 10 runs as an attacker trying to kill the boss, whether it's an AI controlled boss like they have now, or a player boss, as my second idea progresses, instead of playing your 10 runs as an attacker, you could play 5 of your runs as a defender and 5 of your runs as an attacker. And it could either be a live defense, or it could just be where you select the character and you press it, and then it's AI controlled, but it's using all of your character's stats, obelisks, cards, procs and stuff like that. So it could make it additionally more interesting, more spicy. It would make people actually care about doing co-op on manual sometimes, which would then offset the fact that you're paying more clear tickets per run of co-op, because there are fewer number of co-op runs you can do per day. Hopefully I didn't lose any of you guys there. But I think that idea, although probably really cool, is probably really hard to pull off, so I don't have high hopes for something like that. But I think that would be really awesome. Thank you for the Dimension Rift, because I love King of the Hill right now, and I feel like it's just for a very small number of characters and players, because I see the same names creeping up all the time, both as the kings of the hill and as the attackers trying to get the challenger rank. So I feel like if they tried to introduce this on a small scale for the general population, much like I wanted them to do for Alliance tournaments and they haven't done yet, I think it would be really, really good for the community. Again, it would incentivize and it would push and encourage cooperative play, and to play with people in real time that you can communicate through, either in the in-game chat, which kind of sucks right now, or via something like Line. And it wouldn't lose the essence, and it wouldn't lose the feeling that co-op has right now, because I wanted to keep that and I wanted to have that to be whole and not to be altered or changed into some different disfigured way, because then it would betray the whole spirit of the mode. And so keeping in the spirit of the mode, I think we need something that both addresses the fact that it takes too long to play right now, but also lets us play with our friends and play in something that's not super difficult, kind of casual, but still fun and just not as rewarding on like a monetary scale in terms of the amount of gold you get or the amount of rewards that you get. They could even do something where you have 10 entries, and if you complete certain requirements, you'll get higher rates of completion for the completion bar, something like that. So that kind of makes it a little bit more World Boss Invasion like, but it does also incentivize people to pick certain characters, try out different characters that they didn't think of trying out before, and also to get creative. I mean, we don't really necessarily need that, but it's just another thought that they could have for co-op to make it a little bit more interesting, because right now it feels kind of stale. It feels like a necessary chore because of how much gold it brings in, especially if you're VIP 3. For VIP 3s and up, you get 2 gold slots, which is insane. So if you're not playing with that, you definitely should be. Because the amount of gold that you get from it, I think it's potentially 2 gold slots. You might not always get that double gold roll. But yeah, I do really enjoy co-op, and I think it's a great mode. However, I think, especially with the way that this game is built on characters and not necessarily on content, that a game mode that allows you and kind of encourages you to use your entire roster is too much of a time sink. And I do know, just to put one more note out there, I do know that there are some game modes that shouldn't necessarily be played to their completion every single day. I know that's an argument that some people put forward about co-op. Oh, well, you don't have to play co-op. It's an optional game mode. I don't agree with that. The reason why I don't agree with that is because this is a daily game, and every day most of the events roll over. The only events that don't roll over are Battle World, Alliance Tournaments, and Shadowland. But every other game mode rolls over on a 24-hour schedule. And so that itself indicates to me that this game is meant to be played as much as possible, which means that co-op, because it resets daily, also falls under that umbrella category of play it as much as you can every single day that you can. And because of that, and because the rewards are good, and because it's really fun to play with other people, especially when you can actually choose your friends and you can choose who you play with, World Boss Invasion, hint hint, Netmarble, I really wish that I really hope that they take a look at changing it for the better, so that it's less of a time sink and it feels like less of a chore, and it feels as fun as it feels, but just with less time invested, because right now that's the least attractive thing about it for me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have gotten something out of it and maybe gotten some new ideas, or you've gotten some new thoughts or opinions about co-op. If you don't like my ideas or you have better ideas, suggest them to me and we can talk about it in the comments. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.